All right, crew, we are back. It's Dr. Jared. We're going to talk about the 8 keys to maximizing capacity in CrossFit Open 18.1. It's all about grip, gas, and the hinge. Now, I will apologize for being a little bit late with this one. Had some technical difficulties that might involve going to Micro Center and potentially a new computer. But like I said, I'm gonna deliver for you. So here we go. The real test in this one, and these are the first 2 key points, is this is all about pace awareness on 2 levels. We're going to talk about it on your grip, and we're going to talk about it on your overall cardio capacity. Again, it is a 20-minute AMRAP. So that's like a 5K. So you need to really understand how to pace in terms of saying, hey, I can't go out and sprint that first 400. I'm going to die. All right. That's the last thing that you want to be able to do. So really focus on taking those first 2 to 3 rounds or 5 minutes to really ease into a solid pace. Now I say ease into it. Yeah, you got to get going. You got to get your reps. You don't want to overpace, but make sure that after 2 or 3 reps or 5 minutes, you're not really wondering why you went so hard. Now, something that's going to help you with that is by managing the pace surrounding your grip. And we talked about that in the Tota bar. When you should really not try and over grip on that Tota bar, eke out reps. We'll talk about that more, but really managing your grip and being aware of your grip is going to help you really focus in on controlling your pace. The key point number 2 is going to be the low back maintenance. So the better that you treat your back in the Tota bar and the row, the easier it is going to be for you to kind of crush out and find a real nice smooth rhythm in that clean to overhead. So with the dumbbell, just make sure you're really making a conscious effort not to hyperextend in the Tota bar and that you're not over flexing through that lumbar spine in the row. And we'll go through that. But the real tests are really the pace awareness and your low back maintenance in 18.1. Now, for the Tota bar, obviously, yeah, I might know Dave Castro, as some of you on social media have said, hey, do you know him? Have you guys been talking? Well, yeah, I've been doing this long enough to get lucky every once in a while, So Tota bars came up. Luckily, we had those out or had a tutorial on that. So if you didn't see that, go back in there. And there's some good things to understand how to develop it. And if things didn't go so well for you and you've done this already, hey, go back there because there's some good hints as to what goes on or what you need to figure out. The key point number 3 is find your efficiency. Now, you notice that Holte and Briggs had 2 totally different methods to attack their Tota bar. Briggs was a more gymnastic-y, longer kip, whereas Holte was, I'd call it a hack kip of the Tota bar, meaning it wasn't real gymnastic. She was getting a little bit super bent through the knees and kind of hyperextend a little bit through the back, but it was quicker. So on a shorter time domain, meaning, hey, let's say we would only do this for 8 minutes, is probably a better way to do it. But over 20 minutes, along with the other movements, it was just, I think, something that may have affected her moving forward, or it's something as a coach I would say, hey, let's identify how we're attacking this with maybe not taking care of that low back. With Briggs, she did great on both. She may have won even if she did the same thing, but the idea is to know your efficiency, stick with it, but make sure that you're not getting crazy with trying to hack these Tota bars early on and have them bite you in the butt at the end. Again, that takes us to key point number 4 is don't eke out reps. Another way of thinking about this is if you have to really struggle to get 1 Tota bar, it's almost like 3 Tota bars on your grip. So instead of trying to really gnarl out number 4 and 5, just drop and, pick up, another big set or drop to singles. That's absolutely fine. It's going to keep your pace. It's going to hold your rhythm. You're not going to gas out or go into anaerobic, range by really spiking your heart rate trying to get 1 Tota bar. So really respect that. When you feel your grip starting to go, just get off of there, shake it out, get back up, make sure you're not doing and struggling through reps. It's just going to cost so much time. If we go through these, I'm just going to show as I'm rolling through this is when I'm fresh early on. Yeah, I might be able to get a little bit longer in those hamstrings, but it's pretty smooth and fluent. Can I get a little bit straighter? A gymnast would say, yeah, you're probably bending a little bit too much through the knees, but as you go through, you're just trying to get those feet up there. So realize I'm not perfect, neither are you, but we're always working in that direction. Now, if I go into this one, pause this one over here. You see this is about halfway through, and I'm going to get a little bit more aggressive with throwing those heels back there. I didn't feel anything in my low back. I felt pretty efficient with this, so this is kind of my efficiency. But over time, I'm going to try and get longer and a little bit more gymnastic-y with that. Now, this is the last one. I'm feeling pretty rough right here. I have to talk myself to getting up in there and trying to finish these out. This is right towards the end. You can see my timing's getting a little bit slow. I have to exert a little bit harder, dig a little bit deeper. Knees are getting bent a little bit more. Now this is about 18 minutes in. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and grind through that. If that was at 10 minutes, I would have dropped way sooner than that. So just if you're looking like this or feeling like that and it's 10 minutes in, hey, you got to start going to singles or something to make sure that you don't kill yourself through this. All right, now we're going through the dumbbell clean and press. The key number 5 here is, do you do that kettlebell swing or do you do that front rack block on the way down? The front rack block is what Holte did, just taking it down to the shoulder and then down in between the legs. Yeah, there might be something to be said for that if that's your efficiency, kind of like with the toe bar. I really like using the kettlebell swing. It just seems like you can relax a heck of a lot more. But play around with that because realistically, this is an area where I think I can get improvement on a retest. We'll talk about that later. But just haven't done a whole lot of it. So the first couple of rounds were a little bit herky-jerky, whereas at the end, I really felt like I was getting into a flow and being able to catch my rhythm a heck of a lot better. So if I can do that at the beginning, maybe I can eke out some more reps. The key number 6 is to stay tight and quick in both bottom positions. Yeah, it's a compound movement. So kind of in that kettlebell swing bottom position, stay real tight and quick so that you're not rounding through that back or hyperextending or doing both. Really want to be nice and solid through there. After we pop that up there, we should have a little bit of relaxation as that bell is kind of accelerating up at us, and we can get into that good front rack position. From there, have that nice little dip drive to get that baby going in either your push press or your push jerk. I personally push jerk them all because I'm not very good with the press. That's just going to be up for you and your efficiency. Let's take a couple of peeks at these. This is right at the beginning. Again, I'm kind of figuring out how to do this, but early on, I like to do that nice little push jerk, just a really baby one so I could really hold on to my triceps and use my quads and my legs, which is more of my strong suit. As we transition over, that got pretty smooth, but you can see I'm starting to get a rhythm, which is good. In the middle here, getting a little bit tired with that grip. Between 8 and 12, things got a little bit dicey. So just, realize that. And what I started doing is driving my elbow up a little bit higher, getting that bell resting up on my shoulder a little bit. You see how it's kind of pitched up there a little bit. That did a lot to start kind of relaxing my grip and just finding a little bit better rhythm. Again, there it's pitched up a little bit more. I can find that little bit of rest there. I know it's relative, but really want to find that good, nice, smooth position. Here at the end, things are getting pretty tough. We'll take a peek. And they should look pretty same. And again, I actually felt almost a little bit better as I went on. This felt just as good, if not better, than the first one. So again, take your time warming this up. Make sure you find your good efficiency if you haven't hit a whole lot of that in your training. Okay, the row. So the key number 7 here is we really want to have a good sprint start. Now, I know that some of you are like, sprint start? What the heck? This is a 20-minute workout. Yeah, for each one of them, it's only 14 cals, so it doesn't really take too much. So it has to be, we got to get on top of that rower and get it going. The thing that we want to avoid is really taking these long, slow pulls, and it takes a while to get on top of that flywheel, and that first cal just seems like it's never going to come. You'll notice that I'll take several shorter style pulls, which is like a sprint start. If you want to go on YouTube and just Google that for a little bit more specific information, or if you just want to think, hey, I just want to do really quick pulls at the beginning and then ease into it, that's really important. Now, the flip side of this is you're not going to win this workout on the rower, but you can lose it on the rower. So after you do that sprint start to get your first couple of cals, make sure you just kind of ease into the row, find that nice efficient pattern where you can, hum at about 80, 85% exertion without violating the the anaerobic threshold. And then here it's huge with the lumbar spine and the hip. If you go back and look at Briggs and Holte, you see Briggs, yeah, she does round, and that's fine. That's natural, but she's rounding through the thoracic spine, and she's not rounding through the lumbar spine. So it's important to realize the difference. Thoracic spine is your mid-back, lumbar spine is your low back. Holte, you saw her kind of right up from the beginning. That's, I guess, just the way that she rose. She had a lot of rounding there in that low back. And just for some of the work that we do, you know, an Olympic rower, that might be where they're great, but it's just going to kind of chew through tissue a little bit more than it needs to, and it's going to decrease the amount of hip hinge that you're using. So really make sure you're trying to get into that flat hinge position. Find your deadlift when you're doing this instead of really finding your hip really close to your heels. We'll get into it here at the beginning. We get in there. I strapped in every time. I know a lot of people have been talking about, you know, the transitions. It's a 20-minute workout. I'm not a games competitor, so I'm not too worried about these transitions. It was kind of more of an active rest for me to get my heart rate under control. But you saw that quick little sprint start that got things going. Now I'm getting nice and smooth. There at the end, you see that kind of flattened spine position. That's where we want to be. You'll notice in the next ones, as I come in, I'll round through that thoracic spine and shoulders, which is fine just to get a little bit more distance. But I'm never getting into this nasty round in the low back. Let's see the middle one here. We'll see the sprint start again as I get rocked in here. Really trying to get that flywheel going, just those little baby pulls. And then once I'm good to go, you look at the low back, it's pretty flat. Thoracic spine rounds, but I get nice and flat as I pull back. So just make sure you're not really having that butt tuck under, because that'll really start to gas in that low back. Now, as we go into the last one here, man, this is just kind of see that suffering, checking the clock, realizing, oh, buddy, I got to get through this row and really get ramming here on this thing. A lot of you will know what this feels like, because if you get through the row and you can get back on and hit some toe to bars, it's a big deal. So just realize, stay efficient with it, manage your grip, make sure you get that good sprint start, but then also be very a little bit conservative as you kind of progress through those early rounds to make sure you can press at the end. All right. So the review, pacing. It's all about pacing, you know, for that 5K, making sure that you don't underpace, but you definitely don't feel like crap with 8 minutes to go. The low back and the grip is something that really helps you with that. But again, that hinge mechanism, being able to be clean in your toe to bar, so you don't hyperextend the low back, and really solid in the lumbar spine with a flexion position. Make sure we're not rounding from that low back. So very, very important. And then your capacity, just managing that as you roll through this whole thing, just to say, hey, at some point I'm going to have to drop to singles, or I'm going to have to break the toe to bar in order for me to keep going. It's okay. All right. So just make sure that you're doing those spot modifications as you progress along to do real well with this. Hey, a bonus. Awesome. A retest. Hey, yes, you know me. I'm a retester. That's what I do. I'm going to wear some Olympic lifting shoes. I think that's going to be great to help smooth out the dumbbell transition. I was a little leery about it because I struggle with toe to bars sometimes and they just kind of go away. I was able to maintain through 11 rounds unbroken at 8. So I'm going to press a little bit harder with the dumbbell, and having a little bit stable platform will help. And I think it's going to help me hold a higher cal per hour pace with the rower, so I can get a little bit of reduction. A couple seconds here and there will go a long way to hopefully getting through those toe to bar and get maybe halfway through the dumbbell. So 11 and a half rounds is what I'm looking for, those mid 360s up from the 356, 11 rounds and 4 reps that we did today. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I'm really loving doing this. This is one of my passions. The Open is so awesome, I believe, on so many levels. So we want to help as many people as possible. That's what it's all about. So for the people who have been giving me feedback on social media, I really appreciate it. I'm trying to get out to you as soon as I can. You know, Natalie, you know, you'll have to figure out whether I do have a special line dedicated to Dave Castro, but the real answer is I just got lucky. Rick from CrossFit Open, I'm going to be getting the muscle ups stuff out real soon, as well as some pistol progressions, and the double under was another thing that people were looking for. But stay tuned. Go to hpcmovemob.com, hpcmovemob.com. Follow us because you'll get all these things. I'm going to really commit to throwing a lot of stuff out there. On Instagram, you can always follow us at HPC Dr.J. Share all this stuff if you can through those platforms. We really appreciate that. And then on Facebook at healthandperformancecenter.com. If you follow two of those or all of those, it's gonna be hard for you to miss all this information that we're getting out. And the idea is to just make sure that we all have a safe and healthy and awesome experience with the CrossFit Open that catapults us into dominating our physical existence and living as intended. Good luck, folks.